we're talking some Peacemaker on the channel this week with the 4th episode. My apologies, by the way, for not being able to put out a review for the first 3 episodes. I did watch them, I thought they were solid, but I just didn't have a lot of time between all of the Scream content between this channel and the podcast. But to make up for it, I thought it would be kind of fun to actually do the review in my Peacemaker costume that I wore for Halloween. So if there's enough positive reception, maybe I will consider wearing this for the rest of the reviews for the series, because I have seen the first 7 episodes of Peacemaker, because that's the ones that they provided for press, but we're only going to be talking about up to episode 4. Really interesting stuff at the tail end of episode 3 with everyone dealing with the potential butterflies, and then we see a ton of them all over the globe that they all have to deal with. Episode 4 was a really big surprise. There was a lot of emotional weight in this episode, especially directed at Peacemaker as a character, as he does attempt to deal with all the trauma that his father caused him in the past, and sort of gives us an explanation on why he is the way that he is, that we've seen him in this series and in the Suicide Squad. It's surely been an interesting journey going on with Peacemaker in this show, because I'm gonna be completely honest, coming out of Suicide Squad, him killing Rick Flag, I really didn't like the character all that much, so I wasn't like super excited for his series, but he's kind of growing on me as episodes progress in his own show. It's kind of in the same vein as Vigilante in this series as well. The Vigilante that I know from the Arrow series is much different, but I think I prefer this version because he's just a lot more fun and eccentric of a character as he's trying to integrate with the rest of the team. Sure, they do have to keep him close just in case, but the poor guy limps around the entire episode because part of his pinky toe is cut off, and he's trying his best to gain everyone's trust. His idea isn't really the best because his whole idea is he's going to get himself arrested so he can get in the same jail as Peacemaker's dad and kill him so he won't spill the beans on everybody after they put him in there. His heart is kind of in the right place, at least in a sort of super villainy, anti-hero kind of way. He did suggest to Peacemaker that he'd do it first, then he just went and did it himself. Before that happens though, I did think it was very cool when him and Peacemaker show up to his dad's house to collect more helmets. We get our first big look at the White Dragon costume back there. It looks really awesome, really comic book accurate. I have to wonder if we're going to inevitably see Robert Patrick in that costume, but even if we don't, it's a very cool thing to look at. Personally, I've been a very big fan of James Gunn for a very long time, even before all the MCU, DCEU stuff. I think he's just a great writer. He has a great sense of humor, and I think that is one of the major highlights so far of Peacemaker is the writing and the sense of humor behind it. So far, I do think the banter between Peacemaker and Vigilante has made me laugh the most. Their conversations are just really funny, and even when we extend out to Peacemaker arguing with that neighbor once again and giving him hell because he doesn't have any supervillains, that part was hilarious, especially when they bring up the whole should Batman kill debate in a very humorous kind of way. As I alluded to earlier, I really was not expecting that emotional element when Peacemaker does find out that his dad was arrested and he was kind of framed for everything. It's what comes with it though that's very emotional, in the way that Peacemaker, even after everything, he still finds it hard to find the flaws in his father, even with Adebayo trying to help him kind of see that he's not a very nice person. As we see towards the end of the episode, it's more so Peacemaker who has to figure out and accept the truth of just how bad his father really is. And it was emotional stuff, not something that I expected to come out of a show like this, you know, Peacemaker. Since I wasn't able to review the first 3 episodes, I actually really like Adebayo a lot as a character. I think she's the one I most relate to since she is the most normal of the group and everything. Also, Judo Master in that last episode, he was a very wild, fiery character. I was nervous for the team though because they do capture him, but he does escape. His escape kind of complicates things, but it does lead into a little fun rematch between Peacemaker and Judo Master in the parking lot. It was a fun little quick fight in the parking lot. A lot of insults were thrown during this short little fight that were kind of funny. I really wish that we knew what Judo Master was going to say about the butterflies before he was shot by Adebayo, because it sounded like some very interesting info that he was going to reveal. Thankfully, Judo Master isn't killed by that though. He's kind of like close to death, but he's not actually dying in the episode, so we're keeping him as alive by the end of this episode. Kind of related to this, but we did find out that Peacemaker actually caught that butterfly that we saw fly out of that guy's face at the end of last week's episode, so it's kind of like another pet between him and Eagly. Kind of fun, kind of creepy, but, you know, that's Peacemaker, I guess. I would say poor Mearns because he has to deal with all this chaos from all of his different members, Harcourt as well, but, you know, we have that scene at the end, so I don't really feel as bad for him now. Not that I've really expected Vigilante's plan to work once he got arrested and kind of infiltrated the prison to take on Peacemaker's dad and all these racists, but he gets really close because he does rile up the racists. There's a fun little brutal battle there, but Peacemaker's dad doesn't take the bait. He's like the one person that doesn't try and fight Vigilante, so Peacemaker's dad gets taken away, and it looks like he's gonna finally spill the beans about everything, and then Vigilante gets freed from prison, so it's kind of a moot point there. As someone who is a massive fan of rock music, whether it's the classics or modern day rock, I have loved the soundtrack that James Gunn has put together for this show. I think all the songs have worked so well, but the one at the end of this episode is probably the most effective to me so far. I was not expecting this big emotional segment to close out the episode, Set the House of Pain by Faster Pussycat, but it was used very effectively, showing everyone down in the depths, but especially Peacemaker, seeing him trained by his dad to kill at a young age, and potentially causing his brother's death. That's kind of ambiguous out of all the stuff that we saw. But then we end off the episode seeing Myrn turn into a butterfly. That's going to complicate things a whole lot going forward. But all around, episode 4 was pretty good in my book. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm surprisingly liking this show a lot more than I thought I was going to watching the series, but it's been a fun time so far. So make sure you share your thoughts down below. What did you think of episode 4 of Peacemaker? Do you like this episode? Not like this episode? Share any thoughts or theories you may have on what's to come in the next couple episodes. It's part of the fun is having the conversation with you guys in the comments section. Thank you guys as always though for checking out my reviews. I really appreciate it. And also I hope you like me wearing the Peacemaker costume. It was kind of fun putting it on, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so and also leave a like on the video. That's greatly appreciated. But until the next time, I'll see you guys later.